Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Bernard, the principal of the building. I'd like to welcome you to our senior orientation. Tonight you're going to learn about the college application process, be able to answer or ask any questions that you may have, and leave here with some literature and some information on what that process looks like. At this time, I please ask you to please stand for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the Director of Guidance and Student Services, Mr. Jason Stanton.
First time I ever got clapped onto the stage. All right, thanks. I just wanted to say just a quick few words before we get started tonight. First, I want to just thank the school counselors for putting this whole presentation together, Ms. Salvaggio and Ms. Sachs for being here to present the presentation. You're going to get very annoyed with me for the next 6 weeks because you're going to get a parent square from me almost every other day with a ton of information. So I'm sorry in advance, but please just take a second to make sure that you read the things that I'm sending out, because a lot of it usually is pertinent to things that are upcoming in the school counseling department. Early decision days, SAT dates, PSA, anything with college credits. That's the most important thing, because the courses that are dual enrollment here, where we have courses being taught by East Islip staff that are also wrapped up into college credits in other universities, that window right now is open for students to purchase college credits. And every university that we deal with, that window has shrunk significantly. It used to be 7 weeks, then it was 6 weeks. Now some of these places are down to 3. So I'm going to be constantly just sending out reminders to make sure you get the college credits, because once that window closes, that's it. They're not going to take anyone. So I was university and they were explaining all this. And they're really tightening down on everything when it comes to purchasing college credit. So please, 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 if your students are enrolled in those courses, please make sure that they are purchasing the credits if they want them soon. And pay attention to these messages that are coming out from me, because you know when these deadlines are. It's been a long 4 years. It's almost over for everyone here, which is nice. Any students involved with AP exams, you're going to start getting that information from me soon as well. We are one of the few schools that offers walk-in exams, so if for whatever reason in the last few years students have not gotten a score to their liking, they may retake the score here as a walk-in student. You'll get some information about that forthcoming also in the next week or so. With that, you have to register through your school counselor, because it's separate from what's going on in the classroom for the teachers. So, consider that. You can look through your scores on the College Board account. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm always available. The school counselors are always available. So I put you in the capable hands of Mrs. Sachs and Mrs. Salvaggio. Have a great evening, and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stanton. Hold on, he's a little taller than I am. Work? Okay. So I'm not one that typically likes the microphone, so I'm just going to kind of keep it here so you guys can hear me. If anybody can't, just let me know, but I'm pretty good with getting to the back of the room. I'd like to thank Mr. Manzo for coming out tonight to join us. I'd like to thank all the parents. I know taking time out of your busy schedules. It's nice to see more people in person this year, so I thank you for that. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know I'm Mrs. Salvaggio, that's Mrs. Sachs. We have been working here for 21 years. This is the first year that I actually have a senior going through this process. So it's always been something that I've taken for granted, what we do. but now seeing it from the parents' perspective, I kind of understand and kind of slow it down a little bit, because I'm like, wow, I don't know if I'd know that if I wasn't a counselor. So if at any point anybody has any questions, the guidance staff is always here to help you, whether it's individual appointments with your children, whether you want to come in with your children, phone calls, emails, we're always here. And we know this process can seem very overwhelming. Tonight we're actually going to run you through it. Try not to keep you too long, but also run you through it so that you know what's expected of your children this year, you know what's coming up, and kind of lay the foundation so that they're ready when they leave here at the end of the year. Everyone, there was a QR code in the front, so to try and save some paper, we asked that if you want to see the presentation or save the presentation, you could use the QR code and take screenshots of any of the slides that we're going through. Okay. Okay. So one thing I'd like to just talk about before we jump into the whole college application stuff is mastery. So your children will be graduating at the end of the year with different types of diplomas. There will be Regents diplomas, Regents with advanced designation diplomas, and there will be certain notations that they can get on those diplomas. Two of them would be a mastery in math and or mastery in science. And the way your child achieves that is through, typically, they would have taken 3 Regents exams in math and scored over an 85 in each, and that would give them mastery in math, and 3 Regents in science over 85 in each would give them mastery in science. With everything going on in the last couple of years, all the exemptions that have been given for the Regents exams, if your child has only taken one of the math or one of the science, they need to have gotten an 85 or higher in the class that they would have taken the Regents in order to get that notation. If they've taken 2 Regents exams, then they would need to, and one was exempt, both of those Regents exams would need to be above an 85. We say this because sometimes kids take an exam and they fall just short. They get like an 84 or an 83, and had they known, they would have liked to have taken it again. If your child falls in that category, if you have any questions about it, call us up. We can always sign them up to retake that exam if they would like. If you're unsure and you don't know how many they've taken, or you just want to go through it, call your counselor. We'd be more than happy to go through that with you. SAT and ACT registration. Typically in 11th grade is when your child should have taken their first SAT or ACT. Most students have, some have not. Sometimes kids are up in the air with what they want to do. Sometimes they know that a lot of the colleges now are going test optional, which means they're not looking at the SAT or the ACT exam. So there's a lot of reasons why they might have taken it one time and then would like to take it again, or maybe they haven't taken it and would like to take it one time in their senior year. So this basically has the dates that it's available. Oh, is that the next one? No, I'm sorry. I knew it was somewhere. These sheets that we gave out, the front of them has the dates that it's available, deadline dates. So typically October, November, December for the SAT, October and December for the ACT. So if you're interested, if your child's interested in retaking it, you have to actually sign up through the College Board, through ACT. All of that information is on this sheet that we handed out as well. If they haven't taken it and you're not sure if they should, they might be going test optional, they're kind of unsure. We always tell the kids it's better to take it and not need it than need it and not have it. So if they haven't taken it and they'd like to take it again, if they haven't taken it and they'd like to take it for a first time, I highly recommend them getting it in. October would be the best. If not, the November, December would be the second best. And if you have questions with that, again, just call your guidance counselor. Before I go on to the next slide, I just want to also reference this. These salmon sheets we actually are giving out to your seniors in their English classes. So we did half of the classes today, we're going to do half of the classes tomorrow, and we basically walk them through the whole application process. So what you see here is what the kids are getting. We wanted to give the parents a copy because sometimes they come home and you ask what'd you do today, and they're like, I don't know, nothing. So this basically will tell you everything that we did with them in their English classes and kind of walk them through the process of setting setting up a Common App account, linking it to Naviance, all important information that they need to know. So that you can reference also. Oh, I just want to say too about SAT and ACT. If you qualify for free and reduced lunch, you are qualified to get free and reduced prices for SATs, ACTs, and also for your college applications. So we don't automatically, it's not anything that's automatic, so you would have to let us know these things, and then we can go about getting you information on how to make that possible. College visits. Just a show of hands, how many parents have been with their kids visiting? Okay, excellent. So we always tell the kids, you can look at any school online, go on a virtual tour, get to know it. But the real way your kid's gonna actually fall in love with the campus or actually know it's not on their list is going and visiting. So I know it's a hard time to get on the campuses. Sometimes you can only do a handful, you can't always do all of them. As many as you can get on that your child is interested in, the better off they'll be and the more likely they'll be able to make an informed decision when it comes time for them to choose their college. A lot of schools have like open houses, so they'll have like a whole day for prospective students, and they kind of walk you through like what a day in a life is there. They tell you about all the activities they have, all the majors they have. So it's nice if you can get your feet on the campuses, because things look a lot different in person than they do online. So the college visit is really an important piece. We totally understand that you can't get your feet on all the campuses. If your child applies to a school, if they get in and it looks like something that they want, you know, that they're really interested in going to, do not let them go to a school without going on the campus. We've had this happen before because kids are like, no, I know people going there, I love it, I love it. Every school is different for every student. So whether your child's gonna like it or not like it depends on your child. I've had kids go to one school and absolutely fell in love with it. I've had another student go to the same school and be like, I wouldn't go there, I'm definitely not going there. So it really is a personal decision. And as a parent, how do you feel about the campus? Open campus, closed campus? Do they have their own security or police department? All those things you're gonna feel and know when you're on the campus. So the campus visit is really an important piece. Activities and resume. So all throughout high school, your children should have been building an activity sheet or resume. We've talked to them about this every year. We go into the classroom, we do a Naviance presentation, which is basically career searching, college searching, and we ask them to start putting in their activities as early as 9th grade. Some kids listen, some kids don't. I would definitely have a conversation with your children about this. Do you have an activity sheet? Do you know where it is? Is it in Naviance? If it's all typed up in Naviance, it's great. If not, and they just have, you know, a sheet that they've been writing stuff on, that's fine too. But I will say sit down with them and spend some time going over it, because there are things that they've maybe done that they forget if they haven't been writing it down as they go, and they forget what they've done. So you want to make sure that all the activities, all their sports, extracurricular activities, any type of volunteering, any of those things you have all ready to go, because when you start the application process, it becomes a little intimidating. There's a lot of stuff that you have to enter, so having that stuff right there available to you is going to make it a whole lot easier to put in. It also helps you prioritize things. You know, the Common App has a section where there's 10 activities that you can add. What are your top 10 that you feel are most important to note, stuff like that. So you definitely want to make sure your child has been writing stuff down. Schools know with COVID, there was kind of, you know, there were sports, there weren't sports, there were activities, not activities. They understand that. So if your child is lacking in certain areas, it's still okay to get involved senior year. You can still start doing things senior year. So we definitely encourage them, if they need to build that up a little bit, there's plenty of clubs here at the high school, there's plenty of things they can get involved in the local community. If they need help with that, just send them to us. We'll definitely be able to give them some activities that they can work on. The college admissions essay. So, like I said earlier, we've been in with the colleges, with the English classes yesterday. We'll be in there tomorrow. All the English teachers are working on the college essay with the students, which is wonderful. In years past, we only had, sometimes it was only one teacher or two teachers. All of the senior teachers, we were told, are working on the college application, which is great. The kids don't always think it's so great, but it forces them to get this piece done. And this is the piece that a lot of time hangs over them. They fill out everything, all the basic stuff, their information, their name, their school, all the easy stuff. And then when it comes to the essay, sometimes, you have to put time in. So all the teachers are working on it. They should be finishing that up in the next couple of weeks. So they'll have that ready to go. So that's an important piece that that's a nice part of the 12th grade curriculum. College admissions terms to know. I was just talking with a parent a little while ago. There are things that you're going to hear about as far as applications, deadlines. So some of the terms that you're going to hear about for the deadlines. There's rolling admissions, there's regular admissions, early action, early decision. What does all of this mean? So rolling admissions is basically, it goes on throughout the course of the year. Think of it as a snowball, and it just starts rolling at the beginning of the year, and it goes through all the way to the end of the year. At the beginning of the year, there's actually more seats available in that class, so the longer you wait with a rolling admissions, the less seats there are, the less spots there are towards the end of the year. So I tell all my kids, think of rolling admissions just as you would as your first admission deadline. Throw it in with the, if you're doing early or if you're doing regular, throw it in with that. Don't wait until the end of the year, simply because they can allow you to do that. Regular decision. That's the deadline date that the colleges put out there for their applications. So that was always really, years and years ago, they had a regular deadline, and then that was it. You got your stuff in by the deadline, and you were good. They now have since, in years past, come up with early admissions. So there's early decision and early action. Those are two things that you're going to hear about a lot. So early decision is really, you would only do that for one school. It's considered a legal binding contract. So we tell the kids, maybe if we have one a year, that's a lot. We tell the kids that's the school that you've always dreamed of going to. That if you get in, there's nowhere else you want to be. So then you might consider doing early decision, because if you get into that school, you are required to pull all of your admissions from all your other schools. So if you get in and you don't get to see what everything else comes back. So it's not something that we push for. In fact, if your child does decide to do early decision, you guys have to sign off on it, and we have to sign off on it too, that we've all talked about it and we know what's entailed. And then there's early action. So early action simply means you're getting your applications in prior to the regular deadline. So a lot of early action dates are November 1st, November 15th, December 1st. Those are all early dates that have been popping up in the last couple of years. And it seems that the more and more colleges I talk to, the more and more kids I talk to, more and more people are trying to go early. They want to get their stuff out early. They want to get their responses back early. If your college offers early action, take advantage of it. Get your stuff in. That way, a lot of kids get all their applications done by the time we leave for Thanksgiving or December break, and then they could kind of breathe easy for the rest of the year. So we definitely encourage them to get it done early if they can. Is there a benefit to doing it? Is there not a benefit? We haven't heard either way. There's not like you have a better chance or less of a chance of getting in if you do it early. If your child thinks they want to go there and wants to get their applications out early, we encourage them to do so. Are you up? All right, I'm going to pass the torch to Mrs. Sachs. Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, hi everyone, thank you for coming. A couple of things I just want to mention about timeline. It is interesting that if you get your applications out earlier, you do the early action, you'll see in February and March, a lot of the families are waiting. It's a hurry up and wait game. But if you do early action, at least you get to know a few schools that you've gotten into, the kids have gotten into, and it's a really good feeling to get that first acceptance letter. So I'd just like to know, can I have a show of hands, whoever is a first-timer? First-timer. If you have no student that's ever applied to a college before. First senior. Okay. Thank you. So basically, this process is going to seem extremely overwhelming, and we've told the kids this week, and we leave it open to you as well. Please feel free to ask questions. That's what we're here for. Most of the kids are going to use the common application if they're applying to like 6 to 8 schools and they're not sure where they want to go. I say that because a lot of kids in our senior class also like to apply to Suffolk Community College, start there for 2 years, and then transfer. So they do at Suffolk have an honors college, they have a joint admissions program, so a lot of kids do that, and that has nothing to do with the common application. So on that salmon handout, we explain that about Suffolk also, and I just want to mention that we have an on-site, meaning that if the kids do the application before, they can sign up in school and do a one-on-one with the Suffolk rep and get in on the spot. And then if you just want, if your kid does want to go away and you want to have a backup of Suffolk, you can have them apply then as well. So a lot of kids were going through the whole Common App process and then thinking that they have to do that, so that's why we like to mention that. So the Common Application is going to be your friend through this process. The kids found out today, we tried to get them all to create a Common App account. And the big things when creating a Common App account, they have to use an email address. We tell them do not use the school email. They have to have a Gmail account or some other account other than their EIHS schools account, because then later on, if they want to transfer, then they want to have everything go back to their own individual account and they won't be here anymore. So the other thing we told the kids, just so you hear the same thing, is that if they have like soccer kid 1, 2, 3, it's kind of time to drop that and get a little bit of a more professional email, because they're going to be corresponding with the reps and like their own cell phone number goes in there. And you'll see that if you don't have, many of you don't have an older one, it's true what they say, the colleges literally will not speak to you, they will speak to your child only. So the Common Application is a big application that has, I've heard now, up to 1,000 schools. Every year they keep adding more. And basically, the kids should be working on the Common App now. So they create the account, and then there are various parts of it that Mrs. Salvaggio had gone through. And then when they add all their schools that they possibly want to attend, then you'll see you can click on one of the schools and they have also their own individual questions. So, for example, if your student is applying to Hofstra University, they're also going to have additional questions. And it may just say, has anyone in your family ever attended Hofstra? And that's no, and that's easy. And then you can go through and review and submit and pay for the application, unless you have a fee waiver. And then you go through that process and you review and submit and you're done with Hofstra. Excuse me. And then if you want to apply, let's say, to University of Delaware, and that's on your Common App, you go to the question section of University of Delaware, and that might have additional essays. So the essay for Common App is between 250 and 650 words, and then the other essays are usually smaller, like 200 words, like why do you want to come here, or what's your major, and explain why you picked the major you did. So just to kind of know what's out there in the Common App. And if you are sitting with your child, I definitely recommend, just having gone through this also, you want to make little appointments with them, because you know they're very busy and it's an overwhelming new process, and then they're going to get cranky and you're going to get cranky, and then you need to attend our meditation session Monday mornings for parents. I'm just kidding, there isn't one, but we probably should have one. So you'll get through it, but they're teenagers and they're going to get frustrated, and so are you, and that's the point. I tell them, shut the computer, come in and make an appointment with us. And then we sit with them for 40 minutes and answer all their questions. And if you want to join, you can as well. So that's the Common Application, and most of them are going to be using that. If the school's not on the Common Application, then you can apply directly to the website, and you can do that as well. And then the other thing I like to touch on for first-timers is, I'm not sure if all of you know what the SUNY system is. State University of New York, SUNY Portland, Albany, Oneonta, you've heard of those schools. They're all part of the SUNY umbrella, and because you live in New York, the tuition is cheaper. So that's what the SUNY system is. There is an application called SUNY.edu. If the only thing they're applying to are SUNY schools, then you can use the SUNY app if you want. But for the most part, we recommend the Common App. Because if they have a Common App account, the Common App. So SUNY Binghamton, you'll find on the Common App. You want to keep it all in one place. Do not create a Common App account and a SUNY account. It will get very confusing. You want to stay with the Common App. That's what we recommend. Eventually, they're going to link their Naviance and Common App accounts. Naviance is something that the kids are very familiar with and they've done career stuff on, but now it becomes a college spot for them this year, and they'll do many things with it. And in the salmon folder handout is also how, literally step by step, how you match your Common App account and your Naviance account. And it's a quick step, but sometimes the kids have a little hiccup with it, so that's when they can come see us too. Once the two things talk to each other, the counselor gets to see it. So we get to see where they're applying, and once that's done, after they click submit on the Common App, then they come into us to tell us that they've applied, and now we can send their transcript and letters of recommendation through Naviance. So I just want to go to after they submit. After they submit the schools, they may submit like 3 schools at once. They may have 8 on their list, but don't do all 8. Just do them as you have them. The sooner the better. By Thanksgiving is great, by December for sure. But you might want to get in 3 schools, your top 3 schools that you've seen and you love and they're early action. And that's awesome. And then as soon as you hit submit, you see this little confetti come out at you and say, congratulations, you applied to the University of Delaware. The very next day, school day, excuse me, your student has to come into the guidance office and fill out a pink sheet. You're going to hear about the pink sheet. They get 1 pink sheet and 1 folder for the year. So let's say I click submit, the next morning I come in and I say to the secretary, I've applied to some schools, can I please fill out my pink sheet? So if anyone wants to take a peek at this after, you're welcome to come up, but it's our internal form, and basically it says that they have logged onto Naviance and completed the match with Common App and Naviance. Because if they don't, then we can't help them and do what we need to do for them. Then there's a spot for letters of recommendation. So by this point, we're encouraging the kids to ask for 2 teacher letters of recommendation. You have to encourage them to ask sooner than later because the teachers need some time to do that. And they want to come in and request the pink sheet with us and tell us that they've applied probably a week or so before their true deadline, because there's processing that happens within our office as well. So if they have a November 15th deadline, we at least tell them come in before the 8th or the 7th or the 6th to give us time also, because there's things that we have to do. So same thing with the teachers, they need time to write it, so you should have them ask sooner than later. Many of them have already, but on this sheet there's a spot for number 1 and number 2. The reason is, if you have to discuss with them which teacher should be in the first and second spot, you can do that. If they're going to go to school to be a math teacher, and they've asked one of their math teachers for a letter, then that teacher should be in the number 1 spot, because some schools allow me to send 0 letters, in which case I would send none. Some allow us to say a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 1, and some say up to 5. But if they allow only allow 1 letter, like Binghamton always has, I haven't seen it this year, but they usually only allow 1, we have to make sure to send the letter that you want. So we have 1 and 2, so that's where the teacher names go. And then there's something on standardized testing. It's a big piece of this, so we tell the kids, and it's really important to hear this. After you have submitted your application, after you've done the pink sheet, still not done, there's the SAT and ACT follow through, and also letters of recommendation follow through, but it's huge. They have to go onto the collegeboard.org website for SAT or the ACTs and send their own scores. The kids, you guys own those scores, so that's not something that we do automatically. You have to do that, and because also in the process, the colleges want the official scores from the testing centers, and then there's another spot that says, I'm not sending my scores. So if your student is like a 98 student, but they just did not do well on the SAT, they didn't feel well, they don't want to take it again, and it really doesn't match where their grades are, they don't have to send them as long as the school is test optional. So that's the pink sheet, and then they'll fill out the college, whether vote decision, and the deadline date, and if it's the Common App, yes or no. And then it goes in a folder, and then the next 3 schools that they apply to, they come in and they say, can I please add to my pay sheet? So it's one pay sheet for the whole year. It's where we keep our notes, and that's how we all keep track of everything. Okay, thank you. The follow-through is what I was just talking about. If you know your student has asked for a letter of recommendation, they also have to go on Naviance and invite the teacher. So they go on, they invite the teacher, which we can help with. Sometimes they don't know how to do that. And then it'll say requested. And then once they do it, it says in progress. We're trying to ask for a switch on that. But they could always come to us or email us or Student Square us and say, did my teacher upload my letter yet? But they have to make sure that happens. So there are little pieces that they really have to follow through with. And sometimes we've gotten a call from a parent or a student that says, I think I did everything, but can you help me out and tell me, because I know there's a lot of stuff. Okay, senior year is very important. So the official transcript that they're going to see at the colleges is any high school credit-bearing course that your child has taken in 8th grade. It could be language, could be algebra, could be living environment, plus all of 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and the region scores. What is also going to be on there are the 12th grade courses in progress, because they want to see how the kids are challenging themselves in 12th grade. So they'll see the courses. But after the first quarter ends in senior year, some schools might request first quarter grades, in which they have to tell us and request that from us, and we'll send them off for them. And then a big one is the mid-year, when it's second quarter. A lot of schools ask for mid-year. So they also sometimes wait on a decision because they want to see if 2 kids look the same on paper. They're like, all right, let's see who's really, doing well in senior year, and they'll wait for that. So we do tell kids senioritis is a myth. You have to continue working if you're a college-bound student and you want to get in. It's become quite competitive. Okay, scholarships. So I know that a lot of people ask about scholarships. I understand why, and it's a big answer. So basically, I'm going to just use Hofstra because it's easy. So let's say your student applies to Hofstra and they have a 94-hour average. Chances are they're going to get a little bit of money from Hofstra. So they apply, do the whole process, and then you get the email, or your child gets the email, congratulations, you've been accepted to Hofstra, and we're going to give you $12,000 renewable per year. That's called a merit scholarship. That's where you get a scholarship just based on your child's transcript or merit. You don't have to do anything except go, yay. And then there are plenty of other ways that your children can seek out scholarships. So one of them we refer to is called like national scholarships, we say. So we show the kids on the high school webpage in the guidance department. If you click on that, there's a scholarship section, and there are several websites that the kids can apply, create accounts, and then several scholarships will come to their emails, and they can see that. Another way is a lot of scholarships come through the guidance office, a lot of information, and Mrs. Salvaggio is actually the one that puts all of this together and disseminates the information. So if you have Parent Square and Student Square, there's a group to join called Scholarships, and if you go on there, whatever comes through our office will be put on Parent Square in that group. It's not on the general, it's in that scholarship group. So those are like national scholarships. A lot of times they have to write essays, they have to do certain things, and sometimes get a transcript, and then they send it off, and hopefully they win the scholarships. Another thing that happens at the high school is, in about December now we've been doing this, there are around 60, I'd say, local scholarships that happen. And you'll see it's right now, the word local scholarships is on the guidance page under scholarships, but it's grayed out because it's not active yet. So in about December, we'll make that active. A letter, I should say probably information on Parent Square goes out now. And there are about 60 links, and the kids have to see which ones pertain to them. It could be if you've attended one of the elementary schools all year, if there's one for East Islip Hockey, there are families that sponsor scholarships within the community. There are lots of different ones. There's one, I think, for anyone attending Portland, if you have a specific major and you're going to Adelphi, things like that. So the kids will look what pertains applications, and they hand them into the guidance department all by one date, which is usually around the beginning of April. And then we collect them, the secretaries put them in, they work extremely hard to keep them all nice and neat, and we send them off to all of the respective places. They pick a winner, and then the seniors are invited with their parents to a very nice senior awards night in June, where you get a check handed to you that night, or like in the next couple of days, but it's a very nice awards night. So that's the answer about scholarships. Some of them require a little work, some of them require a lot of work, and some of them require no work.
Do you want to mention if they're companies, like they're...
Oh, and sometimes in your own companies, they might offer an opportunity to do a scholarship application, so keep your ears open for that.
I also heard that also as part of a union.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the union, if you're in a union, a lot of times they have a scholarship, yes, thank you. Yep. Okay, NCAA. So, if your child wants to compete at the collegiate level with sports, I'm sure you've heard of this by now, but there's Division 1, 2, and 3 under the NCAA. If they're going to play Division 3, they don't have to get cleared through the eligibility center. If they want to play Division 1 or 2 sports, they do. So if you haven't already, you really should go onto the eligibility center website and sign up there. Our liaison for NCAA in the department is Mrs. Pignataro, but you can call one of your own counselor and we can get you in touch with her if you have questions. You want to do that sooner than later because you want to make sure that your student will clear academically for the NCAA if that's what they're interested in. Okay, we also wanted to mention to you that there has come down from New York State 2 other accolades that your children can earn throughout high school. One is the Seal of Civic Readiness, and you can talk to your child's social studies teacher about that. And the other one is the Seal of Biliteracy, that's through the language department. And you have to do an extra project in each and see what boxes you can check so far about grades and stuff in order to earn those accolades, as they say.